You guys hear that? This is the sound of peace and quiet. Ah, so great. Anyway, since the construction workers have decided to take a break, it is a great time for me to record a video without interruption. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about New Genesis as well as the requirements in order to run the game, since that has been officially announced. But first of all, if you're new to the game, I upload PSO2 content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So first things first, on December 19th, there will be an English broadcast for New Genesis. So this broadcast will be on YouTube, and we can see over here that it is the New Genesis prologue number 1. It'll start on December 19th, 7:30 p.m. my time, but if you guys live in PST time zone, it will be at 3:30 a.m., which is really early. So for you guys, I would recommend most of you guys to just sleep and then wake up the next day and watch the VOD. But you know, if you're a super fan and you want to watch it live, then by all means. It also says right here, please note that this program will be pre-recorded. So this is just going to be a video that they're quote-unquote live streaming it. Now for their cast, their main MC is going to be a Japanese comedian, then they have an assistant MC, which is a Japanese idol, and then they have their official navigator, which is an Sega employee. So these three people are the same people from the previous live stream, I believe. And since this program is pre-recorded, I'm hoping that they're just going to put subtitles, because it'll be so much easier to just follow along, to listen to them speak in Japanese and read subtitles. So this is important post number 1. Important post number 2 is you can now sign up for the closed beta test for New Genesis if you play on the JP server. So over here we can see that the sign up period started yesterday, so on December 15th, and will end on January 4th. This is the sign up period, okay? And the actual closed beta will begin in late January to around early February and will be scheduled held on every weekend. So it's not going to be open for the entire week. It's just going to be on specific weekends, like they'll open it on Saturdays and Sundays, and other times you won't be able to log in. And you can see over here that the purpose of the first beta test is testing the game systems as well as server load, confirmation of sharing data, so the transfer of data from PSO2 to New Genesis, as well as testing their new AC Scratch system. Now there will be a closed beta test 2, and this is basically going to be used to work on all the mistakes that they learned from the closed beta test 1 and improve things, as well as let people who have not played PSO2 before to also try out the game so that they can get more feedback in order to improve their game. So for the first closed beta test, they will be planning to accept 50,000 people. However, if there's more applicants than expected, then they're just going to use a lottery system in order to pick who are going to be the beta testers. Now there are some conditions to participate. First of all is those who live in Japan and can actively participate in the test. So that's pretty much like none of us, because we all play on the global server. But if you do live in Japan and if you do play on the JP server, then you know, you could try signing up. I know a couple people who don't live in Japan, they sign up anyway, and you guys could always try your chances, maybe if you get lucky or not. But I do expect the global server to also have their own closed beta test soon after the JP one. The second criteria is you have to have a PSO2 account already. So for this specific closed beta test, it would mean that you need a JP account, not a global account, okay? And last of all, the closed beta test is limited to PC players only. So if you played on the JP server and you played on your Switch or your PlayStation 4, well, unfortunately, you are not eligible for the closed beta test. But if you do have a PC at home, you can always sign up. And then if you do get in, just use your PC to log in and play from there. Now, if you do make it into the closed beta test, they will notify you through email, mainly through the Sega ID email address that you registered with, or the email address that you signed up with Twitter or Line, depending on which one you use to log in, because the JP server has multiple ways to log in. Just like how on the global server, we have the Steam version and the Microsoft Store. Now's the part that you've all been waiting for, and that is the system requirements. So we can see over here that it does require Windows 8.1 64-bit Japanese version, or Windows 10 64-bit Japanese version. Because this is the beta test on the JP server, do not expect the English patches to work. Now, of course, if Edna can pull off some black magic and get the JP translations like before they actually come out, then that would be freaking amazing. But please don't have the expectation that this will happen on day one, okay? So just go in with the expectation that you're going to need a Japanese version of your OS in order to read all the text, or else they'll probably just all come up with squares, because that's usually what happens. Now for the CPU over here, in order to run everything on low and medium image quality, you're going to need an i5 9400, and then to run everything on the highest quality, you're going to need an i9. I think they're overshooting over here. This doesn't make much sense, requiring an i9 to run on the highest image quality, especially since it says right here that medium and highest image quality is only 1080p. Like, this doesn't make sense. Unless they're planning to run the game on like 4K or 8K, then they might be able to justify this, but I think they're just really overshooting it so that they can get people with really strong PCs to just test out their game, so that they have a broader range of PCs in order to test all these different graphical settings. So don't flip out over this yet, don't worry. I don't think the requirement is actually going to require you to get an i9, because not many people can afford an i9. It's awfully expensive. Now for memory, in order to run everything on low and medium, you're going to need 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, that's pretty much what I have right now. But to run everything on the highest quality, you need 16 gigs of RAM. So I might need to upgrade. I'm currently still using 8 gigs of RAM. As for the hard drive space, this is the crazy part, but you need 100 gigs or more, mainly because New Genesis itself is only about 30 gigs, but PSO2 is 70 gigs. It's actually a little bit more. I recently installed the game again on my PC. It was more like 80 gigs. It was like 75 gigs on the download, and then like after you installed everything, it was like 80 gigs. So a lot of it is actually because of the regular PSO2, not because New Genesis is actually 100 gigabytes, okay? It also says right here that if you have the regular PSO2 installed, it will shorten the download time because you won't have to re-download the original PSO2, which is like, 80 gigs in my case. So it'll save a lot of bandwidth and time. Now for monitor resolution, you can play the game at 720p or 1080p. I assume most people have a 1080p monitor. If you don't, well, my condolences. Now for the graphics card. Now in order to run everything on low, you're going to need a GTX 950 or an AMD Radeon R9 285. So this ain't too bad. There's some old school stuff. To run everything on medium, we're going to need a GTX 1060 or Radeon RX 580. So this is pretty much where I am. I personally use a GTX 1060 on my system. Now if you want to run everything on high, we're looking at an RTX 2070 Super or a Radeon RX 5700 XT. Now for sound card, there is no conditions for sound cards because most of our motherboards already have inbuilt sound, so we don't need a sound card. Then as for DirectX, it will be using DirectX 11 and above. So interesting stuff, pretty cool. As for internet connection, just broadband, so ADSL, fiber optics, T1, so forth and so on. It'll be good enough. So those are the specs required to run New Genesis. Now please don't freak out because you saw that in order to run it on high, you need an i9 processor, which is like 600 or 800 US dollars, and you're just like, what the heck? Please don't freak out. This is a closed beta test. They're obviously overshooting things so that they can get volunteers with really beefy computers in order to test their game in the closed beta, and they can see how far they can push the system in order to get more frame rates, make things look even more beautiful, make more assets load faster, so forth and so on. And they will have plenty of time in order to optimize the game to make it run even smoother, even better, so forth and so on. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the